The car was burning. A baby was trapped inside. Everyone screamed. No one moved. But a poor mechanic dropped his tools and ran straight into the flames. Seconds later, he came out holding the crying child in his arms, skin scorched, heart racing. He became a hero overnight. But the next morning, when a millionaire CEO showed up at his garage, the secret he revealed left everyone speechless. Before we begin this emotional story, tell us in the comments from which city you are watching, and don't forget to leave your like to keep following us. The smell of gasoline hung thick in the air, sharp and choking. Flames licked the hood of the wrecked sedan, its twisted metal screaming under the heat. Jack Mason's boots pounded against the asphalt as he ran, lungs burning, hands shaking. He didn't think, he just moved. Someone was trapped inside. "Back off! The car could blow," one of the firefighters shouted, but Jack ignored him. He wasn't a hero. He was a mechanic, a man who fixed broken things, not one who ran into fire. Yet here he was, wrenching the jammed door with his bare hands, feeling the sear of heat through his gloves. Inside, the baby's cries cut through the chaos like a blade. Jack's pulse roared in his ears. He could barely see through the smoke, but there, tiny hands, wrapped in a blanket already turning grey from soot. He forced the door open with one last desperate grunt, metal tearing under his weight. "Come on, sweetheart," he murmured, voice trembling as he pulled the baby free. The child's face was streaked with ash, lips trembling but alive. Jack stumbled backward just as the engine exploded behind him, the blast throwing a wave of heat that scorched his neck. He fell hard onto the pavement, clutching the baby to his chest. Sirens screamed. Firefighters rushed past. Someone shouted his name. But all he saw was the tiny face in his arms, eyes fluttering open. The baby coughed once, a fragile sound that broke him open inside. He pressed the blanket closer, his gloved fingers trembling as he whispered, "You're safe now. You're safe." As paramedics took the baby, Jack's knees gave out. He sat there on the asphalt, covered in soot, sweat, and disbelief. His own heartbeat echoed in his ears like a hammer. Around him, neighbors gathered, filming with their phones, whispering his name. But he didn't hear the praise. He just stared at the flames dying behind him, the car now a blackened shell. Whoever had left that baby there, whoever had been reckless enough to drive that way, had vanished before the crash. No driver, no ID, no answers. That night, as he sat alone in his small garage on the edge of Dayton, his hands still blackened with soot, Jack couldn't shake the image of the baby's face. The world felt heavy, and for the first time in years, he prayed. And when he finally fell asleep on the old couch in his workshop, he didn't know that the next morning, a black SUV would stop at his door, and everything he thought he knew about that rescue would be shattered. The sun had barely lifted above the flat roofs when the black SUV eased to a stop outside Mason Auto. Morning mist clung to the cracked lot, turning oil puddles into small, shimmering lakes. Jack stood by the roll-up door with a styrofoam cup of coffee cooling in his hands, eyes gritty from a night of half-sleep. The SUV's engine idled with a polished purr. Money had a sound, and it wasn't the wheeze of old F-150s he usually nursed back to life. The rear door opened first. A woman in a graphite suit stepped out, precise as a metronome, sleek bob, tablet in hand, the kind of heels that never met dust. She didn't smile. "Mr. Mason?" she asked, eyes flicking over the grease under his nails, the soot still ghosting the edge of his jaw. "That's me," he said, setting the coffee aside. His hands wanted to fidget. He locked them at his sides. Another door opened. A man emerged, late 30s, gym fit, the ease of someone used to being ushered through rooms. He wore a navy jacket that probably cost more than Jack's hydraulic lift. Aviators hid his eyes. People on the sidewalk slowed, just to look at him. "Mr. Mason," the man said, removing the sunglasses with a practiced motion, revealing cool blue eyes that didn't quite meet Jack's. "I'm Michael Hart." The name floated in the air like a headline. Hart Industries, high-rise in downtown Cincinnati, ads on airport billboards. Logistics, data, the kind of empire that owned loading docks and the people who worked them. The city paper called him a millionaire CEO. Gossip sites liked billionaire better. Jack wiped his palms on his coveralls without thinking. "Thank you for what you did last night," Hart said. The words were crisp, shaped for microphones. You saved a life. Jack's shoulders tightened. Anyone would have done it. Not anyone, the woman in the suit said. I'm Chloe Reed, Mr. Hart's chief of staff. We're here to manage the situation. She said it like you'd say wheel alignment. Situation? Jack asked. Chloe swiped on her tablet. There's media attention. We'd like to coordinate a statement. The baby is currently at Riverside Children's under observation. Stable. Her tone softened for that single word. We're arranging a donation in your name and transportation for you to the hospital, should you wish to visit. Jack blinked. Why would you? He stopped. Is the baby yours? The question sounded absurd coming out. Hart's jaw tightened for half a second, then smoothed like it had never happened. We'll clarify at the appropriate time, Chloe said. For now we need to avoid speculation. A pickup honked on Main. Across the street, Mrs. Alvarez paused mid-sweep in front of her diner, staring openly. Jack could feel the town looking at him through the morning haze. He thought of the child's ash-streaked face. I don't care about statements, he said. I just want to know if the kid's okay. That's why we're here, Hart replied. This time he did meet Jack's eyes, and something flickered there. Fatigue, maybe, or a tight private anger. Come with us. Inside the SUV, leather wrapped around Jack like a museum rope line. Chloe sat forward, brisk and efficient. We'll keep it simple. You acted bravely, you value privacy, you decline interviews. Our PR team will handle the rest. Jack stared at his work boots, leaving faint dust on the carpet. PR team? Lady, I change brake pads. I'm not a headline. Hart leaned back, watching houses slide by the tinted window. Headlines happen whether you want them or not. They crossed the bridge into the city, light glittering off the Ohio River like a shaken, sequined dress. As they entered Riverside's circular drive, cameras waited, a scab of lenses and tripods. Security ushered them through a side entrance, the automatic doors whooshing shut behind like a stage curtain. In the elevator, metal walls held their reflections. Chloe's diamond-hard poise, Hart's controlled stillness, Jack's exhausted grime. A soft chime, doors parted, and a pediatric nurse with kind eyes greeted them. He's awake, she whispered. And there's someone you should meet. The nurse led them down a hallway painted with whales and drifting moons. At the end, outside a glass-walled room where the baby slept, a woman stood alone, hair tangled, hospital bracelet biting her wrist. She lifted her head at the approach and Jack felt the ground tip. He knew that face. Chloe dropped her voice. Mr. Mason, this is Emily. She hesitated. She's the baby's mother. Emily looked from Jack to Hart, and then to the sleeping child. Her lips trembled, but her eyes burned steady. We need to talk, she said, and her gaze pinned Jack like a bolt through timber. Because you didn't just save a baby. You saved my son. The silence in the hospital corridor was too clean, too white. It hummed faintly with the sound of machines and whispers from other rooms. Jack stood there, feeling out of place in his grease-stained overalls. Emily's words still hung in the air, echoing through him. You saved my son. Hart's expression barely changed. He looked at Emily the way a man looks at a contract that suddenly got more complicated. Chloe stepped in first, voice clipped. Let's take this conversation somewhere private. They moved into a small family lounge, 4 chairs, a coffee machine humming in the corner, the faint smell of antiseptic and burnt toast. Jack stayed by the doorway, arms crossed. Hart and Chloe sat opposite Emily, who still looked too fragile to be standing but too furious to sit. Emily turned to Jack first. You were there when the car... Her voice cracked. She stopped, swallowed hard. Did you see anyone else? Anyone near the vehicle? Jack shook his head. No. I got there right after the crash. Just smoke and the baby crying. I didn't even see who was driving. Her eyes closed, tears clinging to her lashes. Hart shifted in his chair, tension spreading through the air like static. Emily, he said carefully, we agreed not to discuss details until... She cut him off. No, Michael. He deserves to know. He's the only reason my son is alive. Jack frowned, looking between them. You two know each other? A long, brittle pause. Hart's jaw flexed. We did, Emily said finally. her hands twisted in her lap. A long time ago. Chloe glanced down at her tablet, suddenly very interested in it. Jack sensed she already knew everything. He just didn't. Hart exhaled sharply through his nose. Emily used to work for me, he said, years ago, in our Boston office. Emily's laugh was small and bitter. Work for you? That's one way to put it. She looked at Jack, her voice trembling between anger and grief. I was his assistant. Until I got pregnant. Jack's stomach knotted. The weight in her words landed like a hammer. You mean... Yes, she said softly, eyes flicking toward the glass wall where the baby slept. Michael is the father. The room froze. Even the coffee machine's hum seemed to fade away. Hart leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Emily, stop. You're upset. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying, she snapped, her voice cracking through the sterile calm. You left me when you found out, Michael. You wanted me gone before your board found out their millionaire CEO had a child with his employee. Jack stared, unsure if he should leave or stay. The rawness in Emily's voice made him want to step forward, but something about Hart's cold restraint held him still. I took my baby and ran, Emily continued, softer now. I was working double shifts at a diner just to afford formula. And then last night, her breath caught. We were on our way to my sister's when another car swerved into us. I thought I was going to die. Hart's face had drained of color. Emily, he said quietly, you shouldn't be telling him this. She ignored him, turning to Jack again. When they said someone had saved my baby, I didn't believe it. And then I saw your face on the news. Her lips trembled. You don't know what that meant to me. Jack swallowed hard, the weight of her gratitude pressing on him like guilt. I just did what anyone would have done. No, she said. You did what his own father didn't. Hart's fist tightened on his knee, the leather chair creaking. That's enough, he hissed. Emily's voice steadied. You can throw money at your PR crisis, Michael, but I won't be silent this time. Jack looked between them, the broken mother, the powerful man, and the fragile thread of truth twisting between their lives. Somewhere down the hall, the baby began to cry again. The sound sliced through the tension like light through fog. Emily turned her head toward it, tears spilling freely now. Jack took a slow step forward. I'll go check on him, he said quietly. As he walked toward the glass room, Chloe's voice followed him, low but sharp. Mr. Mason, be careful what you get involved in. Some fires don't go out easily. Jack didn't answer. He pressed his hand against the glass, watching the tiny figure inside, the faint rise and fall of his chest. And for reasons he couldn't explain, he felt that saving this child was only the beginning of something far more dangerous. The rhythmic beeping of the monitor filled the hospital room with a fragile calm. Jack stood beside the crib, his rough hands gripping the metal rail as if it were the only thing holding him steady. The baby, tiny, wrapped in clean cotton, breathed softly now, his face peaceful, untouched by the chaos that had brought him here. Emily entered quietly, her steps uncertain. She'd changed into hospital clothes, her hair tied back, face pale but calmer. Jack turned to her, unsure what to say. She smiled faintly, the kind of smile that carried both gratitude and exhaustion. He's stronger than he looks, she whispered, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Yeah, Jack said, his voice low. Tough little guy. For a moment, silence sat between them. An easy one, not the brittle kind from earlier. The weight of their shared experience seemed to anchor them in that small space, but Emily's gaze soon drifted toward the window, where the skyline shimmered faintly through morning haze. I used to look at those buildings and think one day I'd work there again, she murmured. Now I can barely pay rent. Jack leaned back against the counter. You shouldn't have to go through this alone. Her eyes flicked toward him, cautious. You don't even know me. He shrugged. Doesn't matter. Sometimes strangers care more than the people who should have been there. The quiet words seemed to hit her harder than he intended. She looked away, blinking fast. Michael wasn't always like that, she said after a long pause. When I met him, he was kind. Ambitious, yes, but kind. Then success changes people, turns love into a liability. Jack studied her reflection in the window. And now he wants to make it disappear. She nodded slowly. His company's going public next month. A scandal would cost him millions. Before Jack could respond, the door opened and Hart stepped in, flanked by Chloe. His tone was smooth again, but his eyes were hard. "Emily, the doctors cleared you for discharge. I've arranged transport to a private facility where you and the baby can rest without media interference." "I'm not going anywhere with you," Emily said. Chloe stepped forward. "Emily, please. This isn't about control. It's about protection. The press already knows your name. Reporters are outside your building. You need privacy." Emily shook her head. "I need honesty." Hart exhaled slowly, his patience thinning. "Emily, I'm trying to help." "Help?" she said bitterly. "By hiding me again?" Jack watched, jaw tight. He could feel the tension coiling in the air like a fuse waiting to burn. Hart turned to him suddenly. "Mr. Mason, I'm grateful for what you did, but this is a family matter now. I'd appreciate your discretion." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Discretion? Is that what you call pretending none of this happened?" "Watch yourself," Chloe said quietly. "You're talking to—" "I know who I'm talking to," Jack interrupted, voice sharp. "The man who left her to raise his kid alone." Hart's expression didn't crack, but his knuckles whitened. "You have no idea what's at stake." "I don't care about stakes. I care about that kid." The room fell silent again, the air charged. Emily looked between them, torn. For a moment, Jack thought she might side with Hart just to end the fight, but instead she stepped toward Jack. "Thank you," she whispered, her hand brushing his sleeve. "For standing up." Hart turned toward the window, jaw locked, watching the city skyline glitter like armor. "If you want to play hero, Mr. Mason, go ahead, but remember this: heroes burn out fast, especially when they cross powerful people." Jack met his gaze, steady and unflinching. "Then maybe it's time someone lit a fire back." Chloe looked alarmed. "Michael!" But Hart was already leaving the room, his voice low and cold. "You'll regret getting involved in this, mechanic." Jack stood there, the hum of machines rising behind him. Emily's hand trembled against her son's crib. Outside, through the glass door, a pair of reporters had somehow slipped past security, their cameras flashing like sparks. Jack turned toward Emily. "We need to get you out of here." And as the door burst open and voices shouted for quotes, Jack grabbed a blanket, shielding the baby from the sudden light, ready to run again into the chaos he thought he'd escaped. The hospital erupted into chaos the moment the cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions, security guards barked orders, and Jack pushed through the noise, one arm around Emily, the other protecting the baby pressed against his chest. The fluorescent lights overhead blurred as he moved fast down the hallway, boots striking tile with the urgency of a man who didn't know what came next, only that he had to keep moving. "This way," a nurse whispered sharply, holding open a service door. Her name tag read Kelly. She'd been the one with kind eyes earlier, the one who'd smiled when the baby coughed. "Stairwell goes down to the loading bay. Go before they see you." Emily's voice trembled. "Why are you helping us?" Kelly glanced over her shoulder, fear flickering across her face. "Because I saw what that man did when the cameras weren't rolling. Go!" Jack nodded once. "Thank you." He didn't ask questions. They disappeared into the stairwell, their footsteps echoing against concrete. The baby whimpered softly, his tiny fingers gripping the edge of Jack's jacket. Emily pressed close behind him, whispering a prayer under her breath. By the time they reached the lower level, the world outside had shifted. The loading bay smelled of diesel and cold metal. Jack found his old pickup parked where he'd left it earlier that morning, rusted, loud, but loyal. He strapped the baby's carrier into the front seat, hands trembling as adrenaline faded. Emily climbed in beside him, still pale, clutching the blanket around her son. "Jack," she said softly, "what are we doing?" He started the engine, the roar covering the fear in his chest. "Buying time." They drove out through the side gate, tires crunching over gravel. Behind them, security alarms blared faintly in the distance. Jack merged onto the road heading west, toward the industrial district. The skyline faded in the rearview mirror, replaced by the ghostly shapes of warehouses and the skeletons of old factories. Emily looked out the window, her reflection fragile against the glass. "He's not going to stop, is he?" Jack didn't answer right away. "No. Men like him don't stop until they get what they want," her voice cracked. He doesn't want me, he wants control. If people find out he's the father, it'll ruin his reputation. Then we make sure the truth comes out, Jack said. Emily turned toward him, eyes wide. You don't understand. He has lawyers, media connections. He'll bury us. He'll twist the story until it looks like I'm crazy and you're some criminal who kidnapped us. Jack gripped the wheel tighter, jaw set. I've been called worse. A faint smile ghosted across her face despite the fear. You really don't know when to back down, do you? He glanced at her. Not when someone innocent's on the line. They drove in silence for a while, the baby's breathing steady between them. The city noise faded, replaced by the hum of tires and the distant moan of a passing train. Jack's garage wasn't far now, a quiet corner of the city no one bothered to visit. When they pulled up, he unlocked the metal door, sliding it open with a groan. Inside, the smell of motor oil and steel wrapped around them like a rough kind of safety. Emily exhaled shakily, stepping in and laying the baby on a folded blanket on the workbench. It's not much, Jack said, rubbing his neck, but no one will look for you here. Emily ran her hand through her hair. He'll find us eventually. Jack met her eyes, steady and determined. Then we'll be ready. But even as he said it, a cold realization crept into him. He had no plan, no allies, no idea how to fight a man like Michael Hart. All he had was a mechanic's stubbornness and a gut feeling that something about this whole story didn't add up. He turned off the lights, leaving only the faint orange glow from a single lamp. Outside, a car engine hummed past, then slowed. Tires crunched on gravel. Emily froze. Jack moved to the window, lifting the curtain just enough to see a pair of headlights idling across the street. Someone was watching them. He took a slow breath and whispered, "It's starting." The sound of the idling engine outside grew heavier, like a slow heartbeat pounding through the walls. Jack moved silently across the workshop, motioning for Emily to stay back. The dim light painted his face in harsh shadows as he peeked through the gap in the curtain again. The car was sleek, black tinted windows, headlights dimmed. It wasn't just anyone, it was the kind of car that didn't belong on their side of town. Emily whispered, voice tight with fear, "Is it him?" Jack shook his head slowly. "Don't know. But whoever it is, they're not lost." He turned off the remaining lights, plunging the garage into a thick silence. The only sound was the faint ticking of a cooling engine and the baby's tiny breath. Jack reached for a wrench from the workbench, gripping it like a weapon. The car door opened. Boots hit gravel. One pair, then another. Two silhouettes moved through the fog, their steps slow and deliberate. Emily clutched the baby to her chest. "Jack." He raised a finger to his lips. "Wait." Then, 3 sharp knocks on the metal door. "Mr. Mason," a voice called. Calm, professional. "We just want to talk." Jack recognized that voice instantly. Chloe Reed. He exhaled sharply, setting the wrench down with a metallic clink. "You've got some nerve showing up here." Her voice came again, steady but urgent. "Please, Jack, just open the door. You're making things worse." Emily shook her head violently. "Don't you dare!" Jack hesitated. He could hear the tremor underneath Chloe's control. Whatever this was, she wasn't calm. She was scared too. Against his better judgment, he unlatched the door and pulled it open a few inches. Chloe stood there in the grey morning light, her once perfect hair damp with mist, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. Behind her was another man, tall, broad, wearing a dark coat. Jack didn't recognize him, but the way his hand rested near his jacket made it clear: security. "Michael doesn't know I'm here," Chloe said quickly. "He thinks you're hiding in the city, but if you don't listen to me, he will find you." Jack frowned. "Why are you helping us now?" "Because I've seen what he's capable of when he's cornered," she whispered. Her gaze flicked toward the baby. "He's desperate, Jack. He'll frame you, ruin you, do anything to erase the scandal before his IPO goes public next week." Emily stepped forward, fire in her voice. "So he is trying to make it disappear." Chloe nodded. "He already leaked a story. Said you, Emily, suffered postpartum depression, that you crashed the car on purpose. That Jack rescued you, then panicked and ran. By tomorrow you'll both look unstable." Emily's breath hitched. No, that's not true." "He knows that," Chloe said softly. "But the world won't care. They'll believe him. Jack's jaw clenched. So what do we do? Chloe pulled a small flash drive from her coat pocket, eyes darting toward the street. It's his private correspondence. Emails, contracts, payments to the PR firm managing this cover-up. Proof that he knew about the baby and paid to silence it. Jack took it, his fingers brushing hers. Where'd you get this? Her lips tightened. I used to clean up his messes. Guess I finally got tired of being part of them. Emily's eyes filled with tears. If this gets out, it could ruin him. That's the point, Chloe said. But if he finds out I gave it to you... She trailed off, glancing toward the dark street. You didn't see me. Understand? Jack nodded. You've got my word. Chloe's eyes softened for a brief second. Take care of that kid. Then she turned and disappeared into the fog, her figure swallowed by the glow of the headlights as the car rolled away. Jack locked the door again, turning back to Emily. The flash drive sat heavy in his palm, a tiny piece of metal that could destroy a billionaire. Emily sank into a chair, holding her son close. What do we do now? Jack looked down at the drive, then at her. Now we find someone who'll listen before Hart finds us first. Outside, a distant rumble of thunder rolled across the horizon. The storm was coming, and this time, it wouldn't be made of rain. Rain began to fall by nightfall, soft at first, then harder, drumming against the tin roof of the garage. The storm wrapped the city in grey noise, masking the sound of passing cars and the restless hum of Jack's thoughts. The flash drive sat on the workbench under the glow of a desk lamp, small but pulsing with danger. Emily was sitting nearby, rocking the baby gently in her arms. He was sleeping now, peaceful, despite the chaos closing in around them. She watched Jack pace back and forth, his shoulders tight, his eyes locked on the drive. You've been staring at that thing for an hour, she said softly. What's the plan? Jack ran a hand through his hair, wet with sweat. The plan was to stay alive today. Tomorrow, I don't know yet. Emily gave a faint, tired laugh. You sound like me before every rent payment. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. This isn't just about money. If this proof gets out the wrong way, Hart's people will spin it before anyone can blink. We need someone who can't be bought. Someone like who? Jack hesitated. A friend of mine, Lisa Grant. She's an investigative reporter for the Dayton Herald. We went to school together. She's stubborn, the kind who gets fired for printing what's true. If anyone can expose Hart, it's her. Emily's brow furrowed. Would she believe us? Jack nodded slowly. If I show her what's on that drive, she won't need to believe. She'll know. Thunder rolled again, rattling the windows. Emily stood, laying the baby in the makeshift crib Jack had built from a tool drawer and old rags. Then let's go. The longer we wait, the harder it'll be to move. Jack zipped up his jacket and grabbed the drive, tucking it deep in his pocket. We'll take the back roads, less chance of being spotted. As they stepped out into the rain, the night wrapped around them, cold, slick, whispering. The truck started with a reluctant growl, its old engine loud against the storm. Jack drove with one hand, the other gripping the wheel tight, eyes scanning the mirrors. Halfway across the bridge into the city, Emily broke the silence. You ever think about kids, Jack? He blinked. Me? Nah, my life's too messy for that. She smiled faintly. You'd be good at it. Jack didn't answer. He just focused on the road ahead, the white lines flashing by like ghosts. They reached Lisa's apartment near downtown, a tall brick building that had seen better years. Jack parked under a flickering streetlight and turned to Emily. Stay here with the baby. Lock the doors. If I'm not back in 15 minutes, drive. Emily caught his wrist before he got out. Be careful. He nodded once, then ran through the rain toward the stairwell, taking 2 steps at a time. Inside, the hallway smelled of coffee and old paint. He knocked softly. The door opened a crack. Lisa stood there, hair tied in a loose bun, wearing a faded hoodie. Her eyes widened the moment she saw him. Jack Mason! Jesus, it's been years! You look like hell! Been a rough week, he said with a wry smile. Can I come in? She hesitated. Saw you're trending, you know, a hero mechanic saves baby. Half the city's talking about you. Yeah, he said. That's what I'm here to fix. She let him in, closing the door quickly. The apartment was cluttered, notes, takeout boxes, and the glow of 2 computer screens. "So what's this really about?" she asked, crossing her arms. Jack pulled the flash drive from his pocket and set it on her desk. "Michael Hart." Lisa's eyebrows lifted. "That Michael Hart?" He nodded. "This drive has proof he's been covering up a child he fathered with an employee. He's framing her for a crash she didn't cause, and he'll come after me next." Lisa stared at the drive, her mind racing. "Where did you get this?" "From his chief of staff. She risked everything to hand it over." Lisa exhaled. "If this is real, Jack, you just handed me the biggest story of my career." He met her eyes, voice low. "It's real, but if you run it, you'd better be ready for war." She gave a grim smile. "War's my specialty." Jack turned toward the window. The rain had slowed, but a black SUV had just turned onto the street below, its headlights cutting through the mist like a knife. Lisa followed his gaze. "Jack, is that who I think it is?" He didn't answer. His heart began to hammer in his chest. "He found us," he whispered. Jack's pulse thundered as the SUV slowed to a crawl outside Lisa's building. The headlights cut across the rain-slicked pavement, washing the brick walls in a pale, trembling light. Lisa pulled the curtain aside an inch, her face tightening. "That's not random," she murmured. "They've been tailing you." Jack grabbed her arm, pulling her back from the window. "We don't have time to confirm it. We need to get out." "Wait." She snatched the flash drive from the desk and slipped it into her pocket. "If they take you, that drive's gone. I'll back it up on my cloud." "Give me 30 seconds." Jack nodded and moved toward the door, peering through the peephole. 2 men stepped out of the SUV, one in a raincoat, the other holding an umbrella, though the storm had calmed, the kind of calm before something worse. "Lisa," he said sharply, "make it 20. Her fingers flew over the keyboard. Folders opened, data transferred, progress bars crawled across the screen. Outside, boots splashed on the pavement, approaching fast. Emily's face flashed in his mind, the fear, the baby's breathing, her hand on his wrist. He couldn't let them get anywhere near her. "Done," Lisa whispered. "It's uploading." The knock came a second later, firm, deliberate. "Jack Mason," a man's voice called through the door, smooth, confident. "You've got something that doesn't belong to you." Lisa mouthed, "Hart." Jack froze. "You shouldn't be here, Michael," he said loudly, buying time. "You've got a company to run." From the hallway came a low chuckle. "I can multitask." The doorknob turned once, slow and threatening. Jack reached for the nearest object, a crowbar leaning by the radiator. Lisa's eyes widened, but she said nothing. Then Hart's voice came again, calm, but edged with venom. "You're out of your depth, mechanic. You think leaking this will make you a hero? You'll destroy her, Emily. The media will tear her apart before they ever believe her." Jack's jaw clenched. "Maybe. But the truth's still the truth." Another voice joined Hart's, Chloe's. But this time her tone was shaky, pleading. "Jack, please, let me talk to him. You don't understand how dangerous this is for everyone." Lisa's upload bar hit 80%. Jack whispered, "Almost there." Chloe continued, louder now. "Michael, stop this. You've already gone too far." Hart snapped, "You're done giving me orders." There was a scuffle outside, Chloe's sharp gasp, then a thud against the wall. Jack's blood went cold. He kicked the door open. Hart stumbled back, his polished shoes slipping on the wet hallway floor. His security guard reached for his jacket, but Jack swung the crowbar, the metal shrieking against the wall inches from the man's head. "Don't," Jack warned, voice raw. "You take one more step and I swear—" Hart lifted his hands, half smirking. "You don't have it in you." Jack's eyes were dark, steady. "Try me." Behind him, Lisa shouted, "Upload complete." That made Hart flinch. His mask cracked. "What?" Lisa stepped into the doorway, holding her phone high, the drive dangling from her other hand. "It's done. Every email, every payment, every lie, it's all in the cloud now. You can destroy this place, but not the truth." Hart's composure shattered. He lunged toward her. Jack moved first. The crowbar swung, not to strike, but to block, sending Hart crashing into the wall. Chloe screamed his name, pulling him back as his security guard stepped forward. Jack raised the bar again, breathing hard. "Walk away, Michael." Hart straightened, smoothing his soaked jacket. His voice was low now, trembling with fury. "You just ended your life, Mason. You, the girl, and that child, you're all finished." Lisa snapped. "You don't control the story anymore." Hart glared at her, eyes burning. "You think the truth protects people? You're about to find out what it costs." He turned and stormed down the hall, Chloe following, half in shock, half in shame. The SUV's doors slammed, tires screeched, and the roar faded into the night. For a long moment, no one moved. The rain tapped softly against the glass. Then Lisa exhaled. "Jack, you just went to war with a billionaire." He leaned the crowbar against the wall, running a hand down his face. "Yeah," he said quietly, "and I don't even own a suit." Lisa gave a shaky laugh. "You're going to need one. For court, for TV, for everything that comes next." Jack looked out the window toward the empty street, a distant siren echoing in the rain. "First," he said, "I'm going to make sure Emily and the baby are safe." By dawn, the rain had stopped, but the city was still drenched in silence, like it was holding its breath. Jack drove fast through the grey streets, the truck's wipers squeaking against the windshield. Every turn, every shadow behind him felt like a threat. He reached the garage just as the first light began to bleed through the clouds. The roll-up door was still locked from the inside. He knocked once, softly. "Emily, it's me." A moment later, the latch clicked, and the door opened just enough for her tired eyes to appear. Relief flooded her face. "Jack." He stepped in, closing it quickly behind him. The baby was still asleep on the workbench, wrapped in layers of blankets. The air smelled like coffee and motor oil, familiar and grounding. "What happened?" she asked, voice trembling. "You were gone so long." Jack ran a hand through his damp hair. "He found me at Lisa's place." Emily froze. "Oh God, is she—" "She's fine," he said quickly. "She got the files backed up. Everything's online now. Emails, proof of the payoffs, the cover-up, everything. Hart can't bury it anymore." Her lips parted in disbelief. "You did it?" Jack shook his head. "We did, but it's not over yet. He's going to fight back, and he's going to do it fast." Emily sank onto a stool, holding her head in her hands. "I don't know if I can handle this, Jack. I just wanted to raise my son quietly." Jack crouched in front of her, his voice low and steady. "You don't have to fight alone. You didn't ask for any of this, but that kid, he deserves a mother who doesn't have to hide." Her eyes filled with tears. "Why are you doing this for me? You barely know me." He hesitated, his gaze falling to the baby. "Because someone once saved me, years ago, pulled me out of a wreck when everyone else drove past. I never got to thank her. I guess this is my way of passing it on." Emily reached out, her hand trembling as it touched his. "You're a good man, Jack." Before he could answer, headlights swept across the window. Both of them froze. A car rolled to a stop outside the garage. Jack's instincts kicked in. He moved to the side, signaling Emily to stay quiet. The engine idled for a moment, then died. The driver's door opened. It wasn't Hart. It was Chloe, alone. She walked toward the door, her posture tense, her face pale. Jack unlocked the door halfway, keeping his body between her and Emily. "You shouldn't be here." Chloe's eyes darted past him to the baby. "He doesn't know I came." "He's furious, Jack. The story broke this morning. Every outlet's running it. Hart Industries' stock is plummeting." Emily's breath hitched. "Good." Chloe looked torn, guilt warring with exhaustion. "He's not going down quietly. He's calling in favors, lawyers, PR. He wants you both silenced before noon." Jack folded his arms. "So what, you're warning us out of guilt?" Chloe stepped closer, lowering her voice. "No. I'm here because I think I know where he's going. He's leaving the city, heading to the lake house in Indiana. It's isolated, and that's where he keeps the backups, documents, ledgers, everything that ties him to the offshore accounts." Emily frowned. "Why tell us?" Chloe's voice cracked for the first time. "Because I was the one who helped him set it up. I can't live with it anymore." Jack studied her face. There was no calculation there, only remorse. "If you're lying—" "I'm not," she said quickly. "You expose what's in that house, and he'll have nothing left to hide behind, but you have to be fast. He's already shredding everything." Jack looked at Emily. "If we get that evidence, this ends for good." Emily shook her head. "Jack, no. You've done enough. You can't keep risking your life for us." He smiled faintly. "I fix broken things, remember?" Chloe pressed a key fob into his hand. "His security system's tied to this. It'll get you in, but only once." Jack slipped it into his jacket. "Once is all I need." Thunder rumbled again, far away, but approaching. Emily stepped close, her voice trembling. "Jack, please come back." He met her eyes, steady and calm. "I will." Then he grabbed his coat, the flash drive and the key fob, stepping out into the morning that smelled of rain and gasoline, heading straight into the storm that waited for him by the lake. The lake stretched out before him like a sheet of black glass, rippling under a bruised sky. Wind howled through the trees, carrying the smell of rain and wood smoke. Jack killed the truck's headlights and coasted down the narrow dirt path toward the mansion at the water's edge. Hart's lake house rose from the mist, like something out of another world, steel, glass, and arrogance perched above the storm-soaked shoreline. Light flickered inside. He was here. Jack slipped the key fob from his pocket and pressed the button. Somewhere ahead, a soft mechanical click broke the quiet, the front gate unlocking. He moved quickly, keeping low, every instinct screaming that this was a bad idea. But there was no turning back. Inside, the house was eerily silent. The only sounds were the creak of the floorboards and the rain slapping against the vast windows. The air smelled faintly of whiskey and burnt paper. Jack followed the scent into a study where a fire roared too high, too hot. Beside it, a pile of folders smoldered. Contracts, ledgers, proof disappearing into ash. Michael Hart stood before the flames, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. His reflection shimmered in the glass, face pale, jaw tight. On the desk beside him, a pistol gleamed in the firelight. "I wondered when you'd show up," Hart said without turning. His voice was calm, too calm. "You've caused me quite a bit of trouble, Mr. Mason." Jack stepped into the light, soaked to the bone, jaw set. "You caused it yourself, you just couldn't admit what you did." Hart finally turned. His eyes were wild but calculating. "You think you understand me? You're a mechanic, Jack. You fix things that break. But this," he gestured around the room, "this isn't something you can fix. You're playing in a world you don't belong to." Jack looked at the burning documents. "No, I belong exactly where people like you think I don't." Hart laughed softly, shaking his head. "You've already lost? The press will move on. People forget. They always do." "Not this time," Jack said, pulling the flash drive from his pocket. "The proof's out there. Lisa backed it up, sent it to every major outlet. By morning, your face will be the story no one can erase." Hart's smirk faltered, his eyes narrowing. "Then there's nothing left for me to lose." He reached for the gun, but before he could raise it, a voice cut through the storm. "Michael, stop!" "Emily." She stepped out from the hallway soaked, trembling, her coat clinging to her frame. Chloe stood behind her, breathless and pale. Jack's heart jolted. "Emily, what are you doing here?" "I couldn't let you face him alone," she said, eyes locked on Hart. "This ends now, Michael, all of it." Hart's hand hovered near the pistol. "You should have stayed gone, Emily." Tears welled in her eyes, but her voice didn't break. "You were a good man once, I loved that man, but whatever's left of him died the moment you chose your reputation over your son." Hart's fingers twitched, then fell away from the weapon. His shoulders slumped, defeated. For the first time, he looked small, human. "You don't understand," he said quietly. "Everything I built, everything I am, it'll be gone by tomorrow." Emily's voice softened. "Maybe that's the first honest thing that's ever happened to you." The sound of sirens began to rise in the distance, growing louder, closer, inevitable. Blue and red light flickered across the rain-streaked windows. Chloe stepped forward, her voice trembling. "I called them, Michael. It's over." Hart turned toward the window, shoulders sagging. For a long moment, no one moved. Then he whispered, almost to himself, "You ruined me." Jack looked at him steadily. "No, you did that." When the police entered minutes later, the room was still. Hart didn't resist. He just stood there, staring into the fire as they cuffed his wrists and led him away. Outside, the storm had broken. The rain slowed to a gentle mist, the sky lightening at the horizon. Emily turned to Jack, her face streaked with tears and rain. "It's really over," she whispered. He nodded. "Yeah, it's over." Chloe looked at the two of them, her expression weary but peaceful. "Take care of that boy," she said softly, before walking out into the morning light. Emily stepped closer to Jack, her voice trembling with relief. "I don't know how to thank you." Jack gave a small smile. "You already did. You survived." She reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. "So did you." The first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds, glinting off the wet ground, painting the lake in gold. Jack looked out over the water, the firelight behind him fading, the storm finally gone. And somewhere, back in the city, a baby woke up to his first morning in a world that, because of one stubborn mechanic, was finally safe. The fire was gone, but its mark remained. In the scars, in the truth, in the hearts it changed. Michael Hart faced justice. His empire crumbled, but his son finally had peace. Weeks later, Jack returned to his quiet life at the garage. Emily stopped by with the baby, now smiling, healthy, alive. "Thank you," she whispered. Jack smiled faintly. "You don't owe me anything. Just give him a better life." As they watched the sunrise paint the city gold, Emily said softly, "You fixed more than engines, Jack. You fixed people." He laughed, eyes misting. "Guess that's my real job." And in that simple moment, surrounded by silence and light, the mechanic who ran into the fire finally found his own redemption. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this heart-touching story. Tell us in the comments which part moved you the most. Subscribe and turn on the bell to receive more stories that inspire and transform. Leave a like if you believe in the invisible strength of dignity and family. And above all, thank you for being part of this community that believes in stories with soul. And before you go, watch the story I leave here on the left. I'm sure it will also move you and make you reflect.